Hello, YouTube. I'm doing a parenting Q&A, which I do every single day. My main audience is on TikTok. That's why you'll only see the side of my face. So I'm just waiting for people to turn up here. Hello, Jan. I don't even want to try and say it. I'm going to mess that one up. Anyway, while we're waiting for people to turn up, I'd love to know where you're from. I'm here in Vancouver, Canada. And I also film these on YouTube. That's where these lives are saved. Jan Val. Oh, okay. It's not Jean Val. I was trying to say it French for some reason. Jan Val. Thanks for that. Hello, Shaz Mohammed. Oh, I know how to say Mohammed. It was Shaz that threw me off. Okay. I'm from Vancouver. Oh, excellent. I'm here in Olympic Village. What area do you live in? Not asking for your address. I'm just curious. So where are you guys from? Whole bunch of new people here because I got some new followers recently. Burnaby. Oh, I've never lived in Burnaby. I lived in Coquitlam and I've lived in Vancouver, but I've never lived in between. I just sail right through it. You might live in that metro town, maze of towers where there's no sun going in there anymore. It's all shade now. It's bizarre. I meant Brentwood Mall area. Okay, so where are you guys from? Ooh, very tiny group so far. I usually wait till I get about 100. Shade nice for summer. Yeah, it's good right now. It'll be rough in winter, I'm assuming. I know a whole bunch of people in that area have complained about all those towers. This is an area in Vancouver where they just put up all these towers really high, really close together. And I mean, it's a great metropolis area, but they've just shaded all of the neighborhood, evidently. Okay. Okay, very tiny group so far. What time is it? Yeah, I'm not usually on at this time. So, and it's good because I'll usually get to all the questions if that happens. I think the smallest group I ever had on here was probably about, I don't know, 1,500 or 1,200. Biggest group I ever had was 26,000 at one time on a live. And I was brand new at doing lives. And I made the mistake of looking up at how many people were in. Just about. My daughter was also watching the live and she was texting me, Mom, just keep your cool. Don't look at the numbers. Anyway, it freaked me out. But anyway, okay, so I'm just asking people where they're from. Here in Vancouver, Canada, just waiting to get going now. Okay, we'll just get going. My name's Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. If you go on the link above, you'll see everything I have to offer. You can get my free behavior board, buy one of my courses, or you can hire me for coaching. You're on that behavior board too. That's what makes it work. Chicago, Regina. Never been to Regina. I'm not even exactly sure. I think we drove through it when I was a kid, but I've never stopped there. I don't really go Canada very often. If I travel, I tend to get on a plane and go somewhere south. Don't know why. Okay, Washington, Texas. Okay, so let's get going with your parenting questions. I was just watching something, all this woke stuff. Hi, Lisa, another Lisa. I'm probably older than you. I've probably had that name longer. So I was just watching all this woke stuff and it was virtue signaling. And it's just the fights over this stuff. I think it's just people who don't have much to say and they like fighting. Because there was just such a bunch of circling around and it was hilarious. I was literally laughing out loud. All this virtue signaling stuff. The big woke debates. You know, I'm not saying anything about it. Just the fact that, boy, people get upset over all that stuff. It's very petty. Okay. Indiana, UK, LA. I will be 60. I'm 62. So there you go. I'll be 63 soon. Beat ya. I'm older. Oh, wait a minute. Should I be bragging about that? Yeah. Is your middle name Marie? Most Lisas born in the 60s were Lisa Marie. I think we had 7 Lisas in school and only one was not Lisa Marie. Okay, let's get going with your parenting questions. Hi, Lisa, how can I help my 9-year-old? He says no one's playing with him at school. He's a good boy. So, okay, do some role playing with him. We do this with bullying and social skills. We do, and also if you want to get secrets out of kids, you role play situations. So you say, okay, let's do some role playing because I want you to learn how to make more friends. Just say it like that. No, it's like you're a great kid. You know, it's just hard to make friends. Lots of people struggle with it. Lots of great people struggle with it. Anyway, and you teach him how to focus on the other person. And because when kids are trying to make friends, they often just blabber on and talk about themselves too much. So teach him how to ask other kids questions that they might want to answer. Like, oh, what PlayStation game, or whatever games they're into these days, I don't know. What video games do you like playing? Blah, blah, blah. Get them talking. And maybe you can invite some friends over and play video games with them. So I would even go so far as to buy the video games that are really in right now, and then you can have some friends over and also have them. I always call it spreading themselves thin. I always told my kids never just have one best friend. It's okay to have a best friend, I guess, but even that I don't really like that. Spread themselves thin. So if one friend disses them or moves or something, they're not stuck. So that's the problem with the BFF for life, all that stuff. Girls tend to do that a lot. But then the friend disses them or finds another friend, and then they're completely lost. So yeah, just have them join lots of things and do role playing. Teach them how to focus on the other person, talk about stuff they might be interested in. So yeah, but you role play that back and forth. Hi, Calgary. I've been there a few times. I showed family your videos. They were trying to make you sound like you're wrong, but you've helped me with my 1-year-old. Excellent. Not everyone's going to like me. I'm out there. I go against the trend, which is that pleaser parent trend, which is in right now. And I have to fix a lot of the damage done by that. I've been watching this trend for about 25, 30 years now. And it's that rolling out the red carpet, trying to make everything easy for them. Participation awards. You turn up, you get an award. How freaking stupid is that? Just ridiculous. Just trying to make everything so easy for your children. You're raising self-entitled snowflakes with mental health issues. They have no fortitude, no self-discipline, nothing. They're just like weak, weak, weak. So anyway, that's what I'm up against. So yeah, lots of people disagree with me, and I am fine with that. I get a lot of hate on here. Not so much because I've been on here for a while now, but when I first went on, my competitors were trying to shut me down. People were telling me about what was going on behind the scenes. I didn't see it because I never look. I don't know who's out there. I never look. And but people were telling me what was going on. I was a huge threat when I came on here. So yeah, and it was like, oh, I'm onto something here. They have no idea what they did for me. The more you try and bully me, the more I go on. It inspires me to keep going because they don't bully you unless you're a threat, right? So yeah, it's good. So I'm going to shake up a lot of people. A lot of people are going to hate me. I'm absolutely fine with that. I'm here to make a difference, not to be popular. Okay. I want you to raise happy kids who have confidence, high self-esteem. They're capable, they're independent, they're strong. That's what I want for you. 20-month-old has a lot of tantrums during sleep at night. He will cry for almost an hour. I don't know what's going on there. Sleep at night. He will cry for almost an hour. You keep going in there soothing him. That's why. So yeah, you might want to shoot. I never get that bedtime battles course out. I've just been so busy with so many different things. I do have a bedtime battles course coming up, and I don't know when it's going to come out. I kept lying. I've had to pay and everything because I've been held accountable and there's been consequences, and I just haven't got it out yet. So yeah, I'm very bad. But yeah, do the you go to bed, that's it. You stay in bed, and then you don't pat them. You just say, okay, you're fine, then walk out. And if they're 20 months old, they're probably still in a crib, I'm guessing. So yeah, I wouldn't keep going in there. Or you're comforting, right? But it could be something else, maybe something scaring them. Get one of those white noise machines, those really loud, that sounds like the womb. There's all sorts of machines out there like that. And evidently, some of my clients have said it really helps. Oh, you asked about daycare. I don't talk about daycare. I teach parenting. I don't discuss that. Huge portion of my clients are teachers, principals, child psychologists. I don't know anything about any of that. I teach parent-child relationships, and that's all. 6-year-old starting to show a lot of anxiety, doesn't want to go places or wants to leave. If that's just normal anxiety, if it is OCD or something like that, some condition that's coming on, you might want to have them checked out by someone. But if it's just normal anxiety, I would just keep taking them places. But you're right there. Don't expect anything of them when you go there, though. That's the thing. Don't put them up on a stage or something. Just keep going out as if it's no big deal. I would take them somewhere every single day. You know, if someone has OCD, the therapy that they do with that is exposure therapy. So they just keep exposing them to their fear. Like if you have a fear of flying, they get you all on a plane and they do like a really short flight with you. Fear of spiders, they put a spider near you. You know, that's what they do. So just keep taking them out. How to encourage a 2-year-old to talk more? That must be your first child. With subsequent children, people are thrilled if they don't talk or walk till they're like 5 years old. So, yeah, don't rush it. They're just little, you know. You tend to rush stuff with your first kid. With your second or third, you're like, oh, are you walking now? Like, it's just, don't rush it. They're only two once. Like, don't rush things. Don't rush it. It's all gonna fly by before you know it. I'm still trying to hang on to my kids. They're 33 and 28. And yeah, it just flew by. It was the most fun I ever had. I love parenting, but yeah, it's just don't rush it. How do I respond when another child hits my child and the parents are way too gentle? I dump friends over that. There's no way I'd expose my kids to being hit. And then I just suggested if it was just a friend that I saw with a play group kind of friend, so that our kids got together, I'd dump them. If the parents weren't going to handle their kids bullying, beating my kids up, I'd dump them. And but if it was a friend that I saw outside of that too, I only saw that friend without the kids. And I would say something like that. Well, never seems to go. My kid always ends up crying or something like that. So I wouldn't say your kid's a rotten bully. But that's what I was thinking. So, and you can't handle them. So there's no way I'm going to expose my kid to your kid. But yeah, I don't say that. But that's what I'm thinking. You cannot tell a friend how to parent. Like I would never tell anyone how to parent. This is my business. You're here. You're soliciting my advice by turning up. I would never go out and do unsolicited parenting advice. Like I've never told a friend, given any parenting advice to a friend or anything. And I'll never tell my kids how to parent. That's none of my business. They both said they're going to try and parent the way I did, but they'll have their own styles and doesn't mean it's right or wrong. It's just, oh, you're asking about daycare. I don't know anything about daycare. I've never run a daycare. I teach parenting. So I never give advice to someone how to handle someone else's child. I just would never do that. You have to tell me the age. Your son's screaming for what he wants. Is he 12? 2? I need the age with that one. I just want to say a big thank you very much. I jumped 15,000 new viewers in 3 days this week. You just get one big video that takes off. It's never a video I think will take off. The ones that I think are going to take off never do. The ones I think, oh, this one's not that great, takes off, gets like 1 million views. But thanks so much. I reached 550,000 viewers on Sunday. So today's Tuesday. 2 days ago, I reached 550,000. I just want to say I don't take that for granted. I really appreciate that. And I'm very conscientious about the information I give you. To the best of my knowledge, it's good information, okay? It's not perfect, I'm sure. Why would I want to be perfect anyway? How boring. I would never try and be perfect. Someone said to me once, oh, I heard you contradict yourself. You said something. And it was the tiniest little thing. And I'm like, so what you're saying is I'm not perfect? It's just ridiculous. I would never claim to be perfect. I'm giving you the best information I know how to the best of my ability. And I really appreciate the fact that you keep turning up. And I'm very grateful for that. So thank you. I've only been on TikTok for a very short time, so I'm very grateful. Congratulations. Yeah, thanks so much. It took me by surprise. My daughter told me to go on TikTok. I thought, well, I'm not a 12-year-old dancer, but I literally blew up overnight. And it took me 3 months. I went into shock for 3 months. Things come at you, and you've got a big following. You wouldn't believe what comes out of the woodwork. They want your audience, right? I've said no to everything. So yeah, I'm very careful. I really appreciate your video. Super helpful to parents of toddlers. Excellent. My specialty is teenagers, but everyone on TikToks wants to talk about toddlers. But most people who hire me with older kids or teenagers, not toddlers. They're not my main coaching people. They buy a lot of my courses, but my coaching people are usually older kids. That's when things get more tricky. Okay, you got twin. Were you here yesterday? Did you ask about this yesterday? 17-month-old twins, they bang their foreheads on the floor. Yeah, you can't stop them from doing that. It's impossible. You can't say, by the way, if you bang your head, you might get a concussion and brain damage for the rest of your life. They're babies still. Put foam helmets on them or predict when it's going to happen and separate them, could just prevent them from doing that. So yeah, they're just going to do stuff. They don't make any sense. Toddlers are crazy. They're brand new, fresh human beings. I just did a video I thought was freaking brilliant. No one looked at it, of course. Every time I go, oh my God, this one's brilliant. I'm going to reframe it. What I said in that video was, why are toddlers crazy? I just did it, I think, yesterday. And I said, I always say they're crazy, but really they're just not sane yet. They haven't developed sane. Like, it's not that they're crazy, they're just kind of empty. They're forming. They're brand new, fresh human beings. They've got one marble and some tumbleweed floating around in there. There's nothing wrong with toddlers. It's your expectations of them. You're trying to reason with them, have these mini therapy sessions with them, all this garbage. It's just garbage. They're just toddlers. They're going to do what they're going to do. Child-proof your home. Do a toy rotation system so they're never bored, and have fun with them in their world. They're just forming. Enjoy it. They're actually my least favorite age because I have a bad back, and I found it really hard picking up toddlers because they're all feet, no brains. Cute as a button, but they're all feet, no brains, right? That old saying, all feet, no brains, it's there for a reason. Their brains are just, it's not that they're not smart, they're just not formed. Okay, so yeah, they are kind of crazy, but just because they're not sane yet. I love that. I made that up yesterday, and I thought, gee, that was really good. I'm going to do another video. Just said, toddlers aren't crazy, they're just not sane yet. There we go. Will that get an audience? Well, that one, toddlers aren't really crazy, they're just not sane yet. I'll see how that one goes. Just, I'm trying to get that message across. It's your interpretation of them that's off, not them. Why do they hit? Why do they bite? Why do they bang their head on the floor? Why? I don't know. They're toddlers. They haven't figured things out yet. Imagine if you've only been in the world for 2 years. The first year you were a potato laying on a mattress. Like, they're just forming. Don't expect them to be able to find their inner adult and justify, maybe I shouldn't hit my head on the floor. They don't get it. Sane yet. Okay. Okay. He's 2. And I can't remember the original question. If you could write the whole thing and then include the age, it helps, because I just tend to go through them in order, because I get nauseous when I go backwards. Kids jump. The only time I'll go backwards and really do it is when people start talking to each other. And often it's a subject I can see it's going to be a juicy one. That's why they get the conversation going on here. And then I'll snoop. I want to know what they're talking about, because then I want to get in on that one. That's the only time I will risk my nausea. Okay, kids jumping off furniture and running around, circles, 20 months and 36-month-old siblings. Okay, you really want to address the 36-month-old, that's a 3-year-old. You put down no jumping around on furniture to that age, because it's really hard to reason with a 2-year-old. So you want to address the 3-year-old, the younger one's watching. So it's usually the one that's your target is usually the older one when they're little. But as they get older, it can be any one of them. So, but anyway, put on the behavior board. It's free up in the link above there. It's a behavior board, and put down no jumping on furniture. Okay, just put that down. There's a consequence if they do. So check it all out. It has a whole bunch of ideas on how you do that. Love your personality. Oh, thanks. Okay, 15-year-old not coming home at night. You want to hire me if you want to know how to prevent that. I can't help you because I don't know what your relationship's like. I build relationships between, I don't tell you how to discipline a teenager. I tell you how to build a healthy relationship with your teenager. Then you can talk, then they won't go out all night. You see, you can't stop them from doing bad things. You can only improve your relationship. That's usually 5 sessions. If you're interested in my help, I can't give you a TikTok answer for that. Yeah, couldn't possibly do that. Okay, if you have a baby, a 16-month-old loves to bite, I have a mini course on that up there in the link, and it's toddlers who bite, etc. It's just consistent corrective actions. They're not going to learn the first 100 times that you correct them. They're going to learn probably maybe the 150th or something. You know, that takes them ages to learn something because they learn through a knee-jerk thing. They don't think it through. It's like driving. You know how you drive and you don't even think about it after a while? It's that kind of learning. They just learn not to bite or kick, but they don't really know why. They haven't really thought it through. When they're little, they just don't. But yeah, I have a mini course on that, toddlers who hit, kick, bite. I was going to call it aggressive toddlers. I keep saying I'm going to change the name, and I never do. I kind of like the fact that it's just, that's me. I'm sloppy with name calling my courses. I don't care. The course is good, but the names are bad. Okay. Yeah, I just did that. The 3-year-old who won't jump on furniture. Oh, the consequence. Have him help you with laundry or something. Have him help do a chore. If he jumps on furniture, he has to help with a chore. And then look at the behavior board. It will explain what you do when they will not do the chore. So you always start with a positive action discipline. There's always 2 disciplines or consequences or punishments, whatever you want to call them, for the kids. The first one is a positive action. If they won't do that, then you resort to the negative deprivation, 24-hour media blackout, something like that. You take something away. So you start with having them do something good. If they won't, then you take something away. You almost always want to go to that one, because when you first start exercising this leadership, the bigger the scene, the bigger the lesson. I would walk into a scene, I would embrace the scene, embrace a tantrum, because that's your opportunity to exercise your leadership. Parents are really afraid of their kids. Oh, what do I do? I don't want them to get all upset and everything. Why not? That's your opportunity. That's the good stuff. That's where the good stuff happens. Everyone wants the rainbow without the storm. You got to go through the storm to get to the rainbow. People hire me. I want the rainbow. Well, are you ready to go through the storm? Because that's what you got to do. You got to upset the apple cart before it all sorts out. It's just the way it is. You have to show them things are changing, and they're going to fight you back. Usually gets worse before it gets better. Sometimes you'll have the honeymoon phase because you get to be disciplined too. You're on that behavior board too. So sometimes you'll get the honeymoon phase. I can't pick it. Sometimes it's the honeymoon week, the first week. Other times it's a week of hell. I never know which one. Each year it seems to sway one way or the other, but over 17 years of doing this, I haven't found one that overrides the other. Except I can often tell, as the kids get older especially, I can usually tell what it's going to be. And when I'm coaching someone. But if it's just trying to guess overall percentages, I'd say about 50-50. I need validation tips for school age. What do you mean by validation tips? I have no idea what you mean by that. Validating that they're school age? What are you trying to validate? I've started the behavior board for 3-year-old. Does the consequence change weekly? The consequence can stay exactly the same. It's the rule that needs to change. I'm going to write that down. I thought I put that in there. And only the kids' rule. The parents' rule doesn't have to change. You wouldn't believe how few kids point that out. Their rule changes every week. Very few kids say, your rule never changes, mom and dad. Very few kids point that out. They're so focused on themselves and what's going on with themselves. It's interesting. Rule is kids' rule. I'll just make sure I've got that in the course. Is all, I don't know why I'm handwriting. I've got screens open everywhere I could be typing. I don't know why. Is all that has to change week to week. I had a rough workout at the gym today. I did something to my neck. I don't know what. Anyway, that's why I just like that. Whoa, that hurt. I don't know what I did. Okay. And if that has any effect on the whole thing. Huh? Oh, I was just wondering if the children get used to the consequence. If they do, if it's not having any effect, then change it. But you can keep the old consequence and just keep that first behavior board, or you can change them all. It doesn't really matter. But once it's up there, something has to happen. Like, you can't just ignore the rule being broken. There has to be a consequence. Sometimes I will do the surprise attack. But that's more in coaching. I don't know you. So I'll say to the parent, leave the consequence as is. If it's not effective, we'll go to the behavior board when they break the rule and we'll say, actually, this hasn't been working. What we're going to do instead is you come up with something new. Don't do that on your own. If you want to learn how to do all that extra stuff, then you have to hire me and we'll work it through. Because I don't know. I don't always do that. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I don't. I never know. I never know what I'm going to say. Use an ice pack on. It sounds like a lot of work. Yeah, it'll go away. I damage myself every day at the gym. It's always something. You get old. I'm 62 years old. You just get old. I've been working out I joined a gym in 1976, my very first gym. So that's a lot of years to be working out. Okay. You can't do that without messing yourself up somewhere. Actually, I messed myself up doing aerobics. I used to teach aerobics and do high impact aerobic, up to 5 classes a day. Now, I'm surprised I'm still walking. How stupid was that, eh? High impact. Dumb. With a bad back surgery. Stupid. Anyway, enough about me. Okay. It's just they weren't flying through. I was waiting for questions to come in. When you're coaching families, do you meet and talk to the children? Absolutely not. It's all done on Zoom, parents only. I teach parenting. I don't teach kidding. Absolutely not. You don't want me to do your job for you. I'm teaching you how to do your job. I could easily get respect with your kids. Easy. Piece of cake for me. I teach you how to do it. I teach parenting, not kidding. I do not want the kids around during our sessions. Sometimes people will pull their kids into it, and I'm teaching parenting here. Yeah, and it's a lot of personal stuff too. I go through. I'm watching you. I'm watching your body language. So it's very personal. And yeah, you don't want your kids in on that. Has nothing to do with them. We're not fixing kids. We're teaching you. Kids aren't broken. Their behavior is 100% a reflection of your parenting. That's all it is. Their basic personality, their basic who they are, like, that their nature and all that, they're born with that. You work with that. But their behavior is you. So why would you want them in on a session? The only reason you would want them in on a session is if I say to them, you respect your parent. As if that's going to do anything anyway. So yeah, I teach parenting. I used to talk to teenagers if there was life and death situations. I used to visit them in psych wards. Won't tell you why they were there. You can guess. But I don't do any of that anymore because I realized it was easy enough for me to work with them, but then their parents weren't getting those skills. So yeah, I don't do that anymore. I just talk to parents now. There's some exceptions, but you don't need to know what those are. They're when it's crisis work. It's very rare. I don't understand. A 2.5-year-old throwing tantrums when you're out? What do you mean they're home alone? I don't know what you mean. And you don't tell anyone else how to handle your kids. You do it. I don't teach that. Oh, I've actually had people, I don't even say anymore. I don't even bring this up anymore because I assume it wouldn't happen. But there's so much stuff I could tell you, but I have to pick and choose what I'm going to tell you if I'm coaching you. What's going to get you the best results. I've actually had parents take that behavior board to school and ask the teachers to do it. I'm sure I usually try and find the teacher's number and call them, or email and call them and apologize and say, I did not want you to do that. Like, I don't want them to think that I did that. Like, you do not tell other people how to deal with your children. You lead, they will follow. When you become a good leader for your children, they reflect that everywhere you go. When they respect you as a leader, they respect everybody. It's just the way it is. You're building respect with your children. So yeah. When you're at the restaurant. Oh, you mean when you're out? Oh, I see. When you're out together. Exact same way. You completely ignore them. But if it's in a restaurant, you would not do that to other people. So if it's somewhere where it's going to disrupt them, like if it's in like a big amusement park, just ignore them and let them scream. Who cares? But if it's in a restaurant and people are paying money to sit and enjoy their food, you get them out in the parking lot and ignore them out there. You go through the trauma. Don't pull the whole restaurant in on it. Okay. So yeah, you have to take them out. Just say, look, can you just pack up our food? We're going to leave. So your kid, your responsibility, you don't want to put that on other people. So, but yeah, completely ignore a tantrum no matter where you are. You cannot be a different parent. My kids knew 100% exactly what I was going to do in any situation, no matter where we were. 100% guaranteed. So why would they act out when we were out? Like they knew exactly how mom was going to react. So I was the exact same mother. You don't have different personalities. Don't wear different hats. Be consistent, because consistency is really important. How do you know if your parenting style is failing your kid? Well, you would just know, wouldn't you? Are they happy, well-adjusted, polite? Then it's not failing. Yeah, that's why, someone just said it's very hard to be consistent. That's why when we're doing the behavior board, it's one rule per week. Maybe you have 20 behaviors that you want to address. You pick one and you just put it on the behavior board. All the 19 things that they're doing wrong, just do whatever you were doing before. Mess up. I don't care. All you want to do is make that one rule and two consequences work. That one behavior board per week. By the third week, you've already mastered 3 behavior boards. And then you go off, you only do 3, and then you go off that. If you're taking the course, 3 to 12-year-olds, if you're taking that course, weeks 4 and 5 are not the behavior board. They're in the moment discipline. You've learned how to be a leader by using the behavior board. It's just a teaching tool. Like I never would have used a behavior board. It's just a teaching tool. It teaches you how to be a leader. Once you've mastered that, the kids start to catch on. They go, oh, they know what they're doing. So by week 3, you should start to see a shift. If not, if things are getting worse, you want to hire me. You're doing something wrong. I don't know what it is. So it's the littlest things sometimes that parents are doing wrong. Got my daughter into swimming, went 3 times, then didn't want to anymore. Should I make it stop? I don't know. To me, swimming is, my kids are raised in Australia and it's mandatory. The schools teach swimming. Plus I did it independently also. And we had a pool in the backyard. So my kids knew how to swim from a very young age. But yeah, I think it's a safety issue. If they don't want to go swimming, I'd say, look, we're just going to finish off the lessons. But how old are they? Are they 2 or 12 or like, it makes a difference on how old they are too. But yeah, I would complete that because to me, it's a safety issue. I was horrified when my son was a teenager and he told me he'd gone to this lake here in BC, in Vancouver. Up in the mountains, there's a few lakes up there. He swam, and I know exactly that lake. I used to swim it when I was a kid. And I had a pool growing up too, so I wasn't a strong swimmer, but I was okay. I was horrified to hear my son, and he swam across the wide section of the lake. I swam across the wussy narrow section, and there were logs chain linked together across, so I could have grabbed onto that. He swam across. I was horrified. So that's why you don't know what they're going to do when they're teenagers. They might just go to the beach or something. Yeah, I think swimming's really important. Mind you, I raised my kids in Australia, but he did that here in Canada. So he told me later, yeah, I swam across the lake. What section? Off that beach. Oh my God. Thank God he knew how to swim. Okay, kids running back and running off. I call those runners. So put them on a leash, a restraint, a harness, whatever you got to do. You restrain them in the car to keep them alive. Do the same on the street. Okay, just restrain them. They have to earn their freedom. As soon as they run, you clip them in and say, no, you stay with me now. The rest of that day or outing, they stay clipped in. Don't go unclip, clip, unclip, clip. Don't go back and forth. It becomes a game and they're in charge. So yeah, just clip them in, and it's going to be probably hell, but that's okay. You want to go through those storms to get to the rainbow. You're exercising your leadership, okay? So if they're runners, clip them in. She has a course specifically for behaviors like this for toddlers. Yeah, I have toddler courses, little ones, mini courses, and then I have my big course is for 3 to 12-year-olds. If you have toddlers, though, I do have some people going through it. They just have toddlers. They want to know what to do tomorrow. It's kind of better to get yourself prepared than it is to once you're in the mess to try and figure it out. So yeah, some people are buying it ahead of time. We used a leash, had to make a nervous. He made me a nervous wreck. Yeah, do you want them running in traffic? I don't understand that. I don't want to have a leash on my child. Okay, they'll get flattened by a train. Don't complain to me. Like, what safety, life, death. I don't understand that. Very few people argue with me on that, but they used to argue a lot more. I don't know why, but I've been doing this for 17 years now. And people used to, I don't want to put my kid on a leash. Fine, just don't buckle them into the car seat either then. Like, safety is safety, right? Okay, Nadine, oops, just a sec here. Nadine. Struggling with my boy. It really helps if you put the age down. I'm just going to throw an age out there. I'm going to say he's 5, okay? Struggling with my boy who will behave when he's alone with his dad, but when mom's in the picture, he'll totally lash out and not behave at all. Okay, are you the pleaser parent? Do you know what I mean by that? Answer that before I go on. Are you the pleaser parent? That's the trend that's out there right now. Discussing all the big emotions, the big feelings, the mini therapy sessions, that's a trademark of the pleaser parent style that's so trendy. Are you? And then I'll answer. I have a screamer, almost 3. What's up with that? Do I ignore it? Yep, totally ignore it. Like you don't even hear it. It's okay to go like this, that initial one, then just go, whatever, and then just ignore. Like you're going to get startled by it sometimes, and that's okay. Night terrors. Get those sound machines. They actually sound like they're so noisy. I couldn't believe it. I had a client show me one once, or not show me, but turned it on in front of me. It was loud. And they say, yeah, little kids like that because the womb is loud. It takes them back. So try one of those sound machines. Don't just use I can't say it, the Alexa thing. Don't just use that because evidently the kids, like if they yell out the name, whatever, they can change it or something. So yeah, there is a machine, a device that you can get. Evidently it works really well. Give that a go. Not really pleased with the punisher, actually. So you're more but are you consistent? You must be inconsistent because it doesn't add up for me. It's good for dad, not for mom. You got to be the pleaser, inconsistent. That's part of the pleaser parent too, by the way. They're kind of the wussy parents. They're kind of, I don't know what to do. I'm just going to try and talk you through it all. That's that pleaser parent style. Like me, please. And he said he hated me. It just upset me. Who cares? If my kids had ever said, I hate you, I'd have gone, whatever, just because I was disciplining them. They never did. But if they had, I would have gone, whatever. So that's what I mean by pleaser parent. Um, they're rarely like that with the authority. There's two very distinct styles that are big. The old-fashioned authority style, which you're better to err on that side. The pleaser parent's a total disaster. That's the trend that's been out now for about 25, 30 years, because I have to repair all that damage that's done. That pleaser parent, okay? So that's the one that causes that kind of stuff. So I don't quite know where you are with that. If you want to hire me, I could figure it out. Well, I already answered this. What if they're screaming in public, though, like in a cafe? Can't ignore without annoying people. Take them out in the parking lot then. Take them out in the parking lot. Let them scream out there. Say no screaming, and then take them out in the parking lot somewhere you know they would hate. And I would even strap them in. If they're going to run from you, strap them in and just stand there ignoring them. Just for a while, a few minutes. Even if they're not screaming, just stand there. Yeah, it's not timeout because you're with them. Timeout is you go over there because you're not even worth talking to. I hate timeout. Can't stand it. But yeah, you do not do that to other people. Just don't. It's part of being a parent. You have to miss out on stuff because you're not going to drag other people through the mud because you can't handle your kid, right? That's just not fair. Like if my son had tantrums. If he had a tantrum in a restaurant, he would have been out in the parking lot like that. There's no way I would have put diners through that. This was my daughter. If I said if she didn't get what she wanted, this was my daughter. If my son didn't get what he wanted, and he didn't have a lot of them, but if things didn't go his way, it was usually when we were leaving someplace he was having fun. And I would give him warnings. I did all the right stuff, and every so often you just could see it coming, right? But yeah, you could just see it in his eyes. I know, here we go. So, but my daughter, just easiest kid in the world. And my son was not, he was actually, most people said he was super easy too. He was, but he had tantrums. And I've worked with tons of kids who have tantrums. Yeah, I ignored my almost 2-year-old when she didn't get her way. It worked. She calmed faster. I saw a friend of mine yesterday and she showed me a video. She goes, "You'd be so proud of my daughter." Her daughter has a little toddler, and the little toddler had a fit because the he was doing something. I don't know what he was doing. Anyway, the mom took something away and said, "It's going up there now." He started having a fit and she just walked over him, just completely ignored him. Sure enough, he just went back to playing. He thought, well, this ain't working. And he was tiny. Like he was under 2. He looked like he was about 18 months, I'm guessing. But yeah, ignoring them's the best thing because children lean into what works, not what doesn't. They lean away from what doesn't work. They will eventually just stop having tantrums. Oh, are tantrums normal for toddlers or a parenting thing? They are completely something they're born with. It's a temper. It's something that's in you. Like I don't really have much of a temper. Neither does my daughter, but my son does. And he had tantrums. It's just in you or it isn't. You tend to lose it. I can remember as a toddler watching kids having tantrums thinking, what are you doing? Like I thought, why would you do that? I was so, and my daughter was the exact same, whereas my son would just have like, no, they're born with it. They're born with that tendency. But when you get good at ignoring them, if you're a leader, the tantrums decrease in duration, frequency, and intensity. They just sort of peter out because they don't work. They only continue what works. Children learn this. By the time they're about 3, they start to figure this out. Well, this ain't working. I'm just going to stop doing it. They lean into what works. They're not like us. They haven't formed habits. They don't keep doing the thing that doesn't get them results, expecting different results. Like we do as adults, we program ourselves. We get into our comfort zones. We do what feels right to us, but they're not like that. They're learning. So they lean into what does work and they lean away from what doesn't. If tantrums work, any attention is feeding a tantrum. Any attention, even eye contact, you're feeding it. So, yeah. Okay, a couple of questions here. Advice for a 2-year-old that hits 5-year-old sibling for no reason. It's worse though when she's upset. Yeah, just say no and take a toy away, and then you pay extra attention to the 5-year-old. Oh, I'm sorry they hit you. That's too bad. And then just kind of block the 2-year-old for a second. So you're putting all your love and attention into the 5-year-old. Very quick though. Don't go on about it. No words. No words to the 2-year-old. These mini therapy sessions discussing that you shouldn't hit, it hurts other people's feelings. It's garbage, garbage. They don't care. They're not listening to you. They might be looking like this. They're thinking, you're nuts. They're not listening. It's all actions. They're watching. That kid they just hit gets more attention and they're pushed away. Woo, that's That's going to get you somewhere. That's going to get you some results. Not right away, though. Might take weeks. Okay, what to do when your toddler has a huge tantrum and getting into the car seat. My friends and I used to call them karate chops. So, when they go, they're so arched, they won't get in the car seat. You can't fold them in. They get so arched, they're like that. My son did that because he had tantrums, or he'd just put up a stink sometimes. So what I would do is I put my hand on his belly, around his belly button, and I just ignored him. I just waiting. As soon as he took a breath, bang, fold him, clip, and he's in. So yeah, I wouldn't talk about, like, it's the talking that gets you in trouble. Well, I got to get you in the car seat. It's for safety. All that stuff. It's just garbage. I just waited him out, and he just learned, right? We used to call it the karate chop because you're not chopping them, but yeah, we say, I had a karate chop him to get him in the car today. Yeah, me too. No big deal. Well, you're asking me the impossible. Here we go. How to discipline, it's from Sarah. How to discipline when your kid when having to live in a joint family setting with other kids around. You're asking the impossible on TikTok. You have to hire me. I have to figure out what's going on, set up systems, work around what's happening. That's a big, broad question. I have no idea what's going on there or what would work. So yeah, that's a coaching. If you want to hire me, you'd have to do that. It's all up in the link above there. Okay. What are ways to avoid power struggle with teenagers? I'm going to tell you what my son said to me. He was 15 years old. I thought we were super close. And he looked upset one day and I said, what's wrong? And he goes, you've been a really difficult mother to have. Could have blown me over with a feather. I thought I was great. So I said, why? And he said, because I've got nothing to rebel against. You're too reasonable and easy to talk to. And he needed to rebel, obviously. I said, fine, go clean your room. And he never did. Rebellion taken care of. Okay. Why would I never have a power struggle with my son? Why did I never do that? How did I manage things without having a power struggle? We negotiated everything. And I was a really good listener. Two most important skills with teenagers. Number one is listening. You listen to understand and show empathy, not sympathy. You listen to understand and show empathy, and then you stop talking. Do not listen to gather information to lecture with. They will shut you out and stop talking to you, okay? The better you get at listening to understand and show empathy, and then you just stop talking, the more they're going to tell you, and they already know what your advice is anyway, by the way. The more they're going to tell you everything. Number two, most important skill with teenagers is negotiating. You negotiate everything. Hey, do you want to come home tonight at 11? No, I was thinking more like 1. Split the difference. How about midnight? Sure. And if they were having fun, I'd say, come home at 1. If they're having fun, I had no curfews with my kids. It was just trust. So yeah, you've got to give a lot. If you want to hire me for that, that's parents usually don't like the first session, by the way, if they've got teenagers, because you're not going to want to hear what I tell you. There's a first step that you have to do that most parents say, I don't want to do that. And I say, well, then you want your money back? It's just something that we have to do to break down defenses. Yeah. And I always say, how much do you love your kid? If you love them a lot, you're going to do it. And then they go, oh my God, the results were great. But they usually fight me initially. It's really funny. I'm ready for it. I've been doing this for a very long time. I used to specialize in teenagers. I started my business with teenagers in crisis. So I worked exclusively, basically, with parents with teens in crisis. So that's how I learned all this teen stuff. Well, no, I learned it through mentoring teens, but that's how I learned how to handle parents with teenagers because they're very fragile. If they have a teenager in crisis, I would say 50% me mothering and helping the parents' emotions, and then 50% what we're doing with the kid. It can be very traumatic for parents. Okay. I had too much caffeine. I can feel I just have Diet Coke and I had too much. Okay, sorry, that's why I feel like my eyes are spinning. A little bit wonky. My 3-year-old screams and cries when washing his hair, doesn't like it. He's fine when swimming though. Yeah, they don't like having their hair washed because they don't like the feeling of it. Do they have to go back? And I would get, maybe they have these, what are they called? Shields, face shields. Maybe that would help. Maybe have a little handheld shower that they can use themselves, or maybe have them put the water on themselves, or take them in the shower and do it there, and then play their favorite movie while you're doing it. And it only goes on when you're washing their hair. Something that they only ever see that they love, only during hair washing time, they associate it with it. I use that same technique with grocery shopping with a toddler. They only have that goodie bag when they're sitting in that shopping cart. They never see it any other time. So they only see that one movie when they're getting their hair wet. They associate it with that. So mask for water. Yeah. You know what? If they hate it, that's probably not going to be enough. That's more for babies who just don't like to get any, anything in their face. But yeah, I would probably pop them in the shower and just say, you can watch this while I'm washing your hair. Second they put up a fuss, turn it off. It's got to be fast. Now you're asking about a 3 and a 2-year-old's cousin and all that stuff. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what's going on there. So yeah. If you want my help, I'd have to assess the situation first. And because you're dealing with someone else's kid, it's different. It just is. You're not parenting other people's kids. So there's 2 kids involved and one of them isn't yours. And you're asking me what to do. It's awkward. 4-year-old boy who won't stop saying he will kill it, them, you. Yeah, he's just doing that for attention. So I would put down, say, no more using the word kill or dead or anything violent like that. And every time he does, there's a consequence. And don't overreact. It's the overreact. Oh my God, don't say that. That's so many. They love that. They'll eat that up. So yeah, just say no more saying the word kill or dead or anything violent. Okay, put that on the behavior board as a rule. The behavior board's up there in my link up there. You can get the behavior board's completely free, or you can buy one of my courses, my big course, How to Get Respect in 5 Weeks if you have 3 to 12-year-olds, or the top of the line is Hire Me for One-on-One Coaching. Top of the line, like I'm so top of the line. What I mean is that's the most expensive thing you can do, and it's probably the best results. Although that course I did, that big course, the results people are getting is really good with that. I worked for that on a very long time and I paced that out. If you're going to buy that course, that's on How to Get Respect in 5 Weeks. If you're going to buy that, read the whole thing first if you want. It's not necessary. Go through it's all just on reading form. I think I got one video on there because there's one story I just had to tell. I couldn't express it or write it. Anyway, and it's paced out a court to get your results. Do not rush it. It takes 5 weeks. Minimum. Do not rush it. You can draw it out by maybe a week or 2, but don't rush it. Okay. How do you feel about gun safety? I'm not going to talk about that. Don't ask me about politics or anything like a heated issue. I just was watching something. It was quite funny. I won't bother going into what led to it, but it was all about virtue signaling and all the vocal fry and all this woke stuff and all your, what's that called? Not handle. What is your, what's that called? You're not her or him or anything anymore. I was watching all that stuff. They just struck me as a bunch of depressed, sad people fighting over this. It was so sad. And the reason I studied it was I know how they were parented. I can pretty much guarantee exactly how those people were raised. All the ones fighting over this stuff, like, my God, have you not got bigger stuff to worry about? There's wars going on out there and everyone's fighting over this. Oh my God, just struck me as so petty and so, oh my God. These are people that could really use some problems, real problems. You go out, you do some volunteer work. You go work in a suicide prevention line like I did, or you go and work in a hospital with handicapped children. Then maybe you'll have some substance to you instead of all this stuff, this superficial crap. Some of it's real, yeah, I get that, but a lot of the fighting is just so pathetic. But it was about I was watching something about this kid and I thought, gee, that's interesting. I know exactly how that kid was parented. And they were talking about how their past was. And I thought I just pegged it perfectly. And then that's how I led into all that stuff, the virtue signaling. Okay. Is saying no to everything bad, or should I try another method working with an 18-month-old? Yeah. Okay. The best thing you can do if you have a baby, so it's just 16 months old and under, I sort of consider a baby. And then after that, they're like toddlers. Completely childproof your whole house so you never have to say no. That's what I did. And there was nothing from the waist down. My house looked ridiculous. If you looked up, it looked great. You looked down, it was barren. I mean, I just childproofed it. Then also do a toy rotation system so they're never bored. And also play with them in their world. When you're playing with your kid, you're not just pointing to stuff and yay, very good. You're in there with them. So play with them as much as you can, or you don't have to entertain them all the time. But yeah, those are the 3 things that I think are most important to toddlers to make your life easier. By the way, when you're in their world, that's part of getting respect. The more you enter their world on their terms, you're not saying to them, use your words, all this garbage. God, I hate all that stuff, these mini therapy sessions. They're not listening to you. You're not in their world at all. They're not going to respect you, okay? You get in their world, play with them in their world. They're going to listen to you more when it's not in their world. Like what I mean is they're going to look up to you more. They're more in tune to you. They're more connected to you. So you have more power. That's part of getting respect with a toddler, is entering their world when you play with them. Like when you take a toddler to the park, don't just sit on a bench and watch them. Sometimes you do that. But, I used to roll down the hill with my kids at the park. I looked ridiculous. I got nauseous doing it, but I did it. I entered their world, and they're going to pay a lot more attention to you. They're going to want to please you more. They just respect you more. That's how you start getting respect from the toddler. I just did a video on that, I think a few days ago, how to get respect with toddlers. Yeah, it was a good video. I don't think it got a lot of views. I was one I thought this one's going to take off. Video just, I think it got maybe 10,000 or something. Nothing like ones that get millions. They're never the ones I pick. Never. I can't figure it out. I just talked about that independent play for 4 months old. Oh, 4 months old. Oh God, no. That's why moms carry their babies around, because they don't want to be independent. They still want to be close to you all the time. So yeah, I didn't try and teach a 4 month old how to play independently. You're not necessarily interacting with them. You can get like those toy things that they can play with and all that for a while, but they basically want to be with you a lot. That's part of having a baby. I mean, they want to be attached to you. So I had a really bad back, but I did try and carry mine around as much as possible, as long as my back wouldn't give out. My son is constant. Well, you need to put the answer, Holly. Age. I don't know how. Is he 15, 5, 2? I don't know how old. My preteen or tween is 9 to 12 years old. Treats her stepdad horribly, very disrespectful. I'm so lost. Step parenting, especially if it's new, that's a little bit different. But try my behavior board, or you can buy that course for 3 to 12-year-olds. It's all linked above, or you can hire me for coaching. I'd have to work through that though. I don't exactly know what the relationship is, if there's other kids involved. And it's a whole bunch of stuff that goes into that. Okay, you said 3.5. My son is constantly responding with no, what do I do? Are you asking him to do something or asking him to stop doing something? Just start with my behavior, but he doesn't respect you. That's all. That's just a tell for me. You're not a leader. He doesn't respect you. That's all that is. Work on yourself. It's not about him. You're never fixing kids. We're teaching ourselves how to be a leader. When you lead, they will follow. It's just the way it is. They just want to please you. When they're little, they just want to please you. He's young. He's tiny still. So yeah, work on your leadership skills. My course might be good for you. That teaches you how to get respect in 5 weeks. If that's not enough for you, you want to talk to me, that's coaching. I don't think this client would have a problem with me saying this, because if she's on here, she'll know who it is. But I had a client who was going to have sessions. I always say weekly sessions are best because we get momentum going. But she said, well, everything was going so great, so I thought I didn't need you. Of course, it was, but it's that false sense of, it was going great for a while, but then it didn't go so great. So it is best to sort of try and have weekly sessions initially, and then I will tell you when we can say, hey, you're on a roll here. Just go with it, and you call me when you want to talk again. So I'll let you know. But anyway. I like how you said our problems are not our kids' problems. Adults need to be able to handle our own emotions. Oh, I don't remember saying that. I would have said that previously, but I haven't said that in this session. But yeah, it's true. It's okay to look sad in front of your kids, but never go overboard. Never fall apart and sob in front of your kids. This was a really good example of this. I used to volunteer in one of those hospice where you go in there for the last 2 weeks of your life. And there would be like the ones that got me was when there was little kids there visiting their parents who were dying. And I said to the people running it, I said, am I allowed to cry when they're bringing out the body? And the families around, they all line up when they bring the bodies out. And I said, am I allowed to cry? And they said, yes, but you never cry louder or harder than the family. Because that would just be stupid. So yeah, and I remember that thinking, yeah, kids, especially with kids, but yeah, it's okay to show when you're sad and say it, but don't go into great detail, because they need you to be strong, basically. And leaders are strong. Leaders don't tend to fall apart. You think about this. If you ever had a mentor, someone you looked up to, did you ever see them laying on the ground sobbing? Like, how would you feel about them? Like, leaders are very strong. So yeah, go cry into a pillow if you have to. We all make mistakes, by the way. We're all going to make mistakes. I'm just saying, ideally, this is what you want to do, but mix up some mistakes in there, because you want to show them you're human and you mess up. My kids loved it when I messed up. Every time I'd mess up and I'd do something wrong, they'd look at each other like this. because they knew I was going to make it up to them. Mom, you messed up. And I'd go, what do you want? And they say, oh, we'd like to go to the water slide park after school. How about that? Okay. Or I'd negotiate back and forth. So yeah, it's okay to mess up, but with emotions, watch it. And also, I was just talking to my daughter yesterday. I don't know how I got on the subject about parents fighting. I think she saw someone fighting, parents fighting. And she said, I have no memory of my parents. They never yelled, and I never saw them fight or anything ever. And she said the same. She goes, we're divorced. And she goes, we never saw you fight ever. And I said, no, you wouldn't have. We weren't really scrappers anyway, but I mean, yeah, but you don't want to show that stuff in front of your kids because they come first, and that's putting yourself first. If you're going to fight in front of your kids, or if you yell at them, you're putting yourself first. You're putting your own frustrations first. By the way, 99.9% of my clients yell. So if you yell, you're in good company. You're only yelling because you don't know what else to do. That's all. I teach you what else to do. Plus, when you yell at your kids, you have to be punished for that by your kids. That's what the behavior board's all about. You're on there too. You got to give respect to get it. Yeah, there you go. Our son has a split home. We get along well because we put him first. Absolutely. He doesn't even know his split. Yeah, that we used to go out. We went to graduations and everything all together. We drove together sometimes, like no big deal. People didn't even know we weren't together. We put the kids first. He's not my ex. He is the father of my children. I don't even see him as my ex. Like people say, they'll say something like, oh, how do you feel about your ex? And who? Like, I never think of him that way. I never think of him as my partner. I'm not sure I ever did, to be honest. It's just like we were just parenting together. We were a really good financial and parenting team, but it was kind of more like a business transaction. So yeah, I never really saw him that way anyway, but so I was lucky, but I still would never have put my feelings before the kids. So yeah, put your kids first. You know, you gotta love your kids more than you hate each other. I did one course, a seminar years and years ago. It was an in-person seminar, parenting through divorce. And I said, what I want you to do is leave all your boyfriends, girlfriends, new spouses behind. Only the biological parents turn up. You meet in the parking lot, walk in together, and sit together. And it was sort of a test. Like I wanted to see how bad is this, right? They came in spitting, fighting. I was disgusted. I never taught it again. And I said, do you act like this in front of your kids? So you love yourselves more than you love your kids. So yeah. Well, you kind of already answered your own question. How do you get your twins to listen after you said more than once? I don't repeat myself. I ask once and then I take action. So if I say, oh, we're heading out in 5 minutes, I want you ready, or I don't know how old they are, if they're like able to get themselves ready or whatever, but I would do it something like this. Well, we're leaving in 5 minutes, so make sure you've got your shoes on, you're ready to go. If not, I pick them up, grab the shoes, and we get in the car, and they're getting the shoes on in the car. Like I take action. I'm ready to follow up what I say. So I would never repeat myself. If you do, they're in charge. They're blocking you out. When I said something, my kids listened because I was fair and reasonable, and I wasn't a nag either. Because I didn't need to be, because they listened. But I was always done with respect, like, and if it wasn't, they knew that I'd be making amends later. If I was too pushy or trying to rush them along and being unreasonable, then I'd probably end up at the water slide park, making it up to them. God, I hated that. I hated the way they looked at each other. As soon as I messed up, they'd just instantly go like that. And oh, crap. I have to go to the water slide park. We had a water slide park quite near us. That was in Brisbane, Australia. It was a small one. It was fun. Okay, here you go. I don't want to drive this point home too much, but I'm going to say a little bit about it. You said it's hard when you know what he did to you and the kids love him. He's their dad. What you're asking them to do is you're trying to put your feelings on your children. You're trying to take away that relationship. You're going to mess your kids up if you do that. Okay? Yeah, that's about you. I always say, who do you love more, you or your kids? That's about loving yourself more. If you want them to hate him like you do, that's all about you. That's a very selfish way to parent. Because lots of people used to say, well, how do you guys get along so well? And I said, we just put the kids first. It's all we ever did. We always put the kids first. When we first separated, they were 9 and 14, and he came over for dinner every night for I don't know how long, maybe a week or two, just to try and just not just move away. And then we never had any set up legally or anything. He would just take them every Friday night and have them Saturday. And then, but if one of them was sick, they'd stay with me or whatever. We just worked it out. We tried to we did the best we could to put the kids first. And then we turned up to everything. No one even knew we were separated. Even neighbors used to say they knew his car wasn't there. And then he'd come over and we'd be laughing and talking with the kids there. People were so confused. We loved our kids enough to get along. So just see him like I do. That is the father of my kids. He's not my ex. He's the father. Let it go. He's the father of your kids. How do you feel about 50-50 custody? I don't know. If it works, do it. It's like, how do you feel about homeschooling and religion? No opinions on it. If it works and you're happy with it, then that's your choice. It's like that. It's a choice. It's a personal choice. Not a this is the way you should do it. Okay. Favoritism between mom and dad. 2-year-old hits dad when dad tries to help with bath time, bedtime. Yeah, he's in charge, totally. If he hits dad during bath time, I would disappear if I were you. I would make sure that dad's doing bath time. So he knows that if he hits, he gets you. He's just playing you off each other. He's just in charge. It's just a game to him. That's all. Is it effective to let your 3-year-old learn the hard way safely after not listening the first time? I don't know what you mean by that. You have to give me an example. I don't know what you mean. Like you said, safely. So you're not going to let them run in front of a truck just so you learned your lesson. That's why you're a pancake. Yeah. Oh, God, you're going to hate my answer, Stephanie. How do I get my 5-year-old to not cry and scream when I take away the screen time? Why on earth would you interfere with his process of self regulation? In other words, why you're asking me to, yeah, ignore tantrums. Thank you, Mimi. Ignore, 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 ignore. I know the trend right now is these mini therapy sessions to help them self regulate. It's just garbage. Garbage. It's up to them. You can't help someone self regulate. He has to self regulate. He'll learn. They learn organically. They learn, hey, wait a minute, this tantrum isn't working. Maybe I'm just going to stop doing it. It obviously upsets you. That's why he keeps doing it. And he's 5. I would get a media management system set up. I've got a whole bunch of videos on how to do media management. There's 3 different ways of doing it. There's only one that I like. And you'll see. Just look up screen time, Bratbusters screen time, or media management or something like that. I got lots of videos on that. So yeah, and then he will understand going in. So it's not like you go, oh, time's up, whoop, and you whip it away. Sometimes parents are unreasonable, so that's why the kids are having a fit. Like tick tick, oh, okay, time, it's gone. Yeah, you see. What if they're right in the middle of a game, right in the middle of a show? I'm guilty of doing mini therapy sessions, so now trying to undo the damage. Yeah, don't look at it that way. I always talk about it like that, but don't look at it that way. Just say, I'm learning better, so I'm not going to do it anymore. Let me worry about fixing the damage. If you want to hire me, I get more aggressive with all that stuff. Well, I don't hit kids, but you know what I mean. But yeah, just say, okay, I'm going to change my ways now. Just start from scratch. Kids are very malleable and pliable, but they will remember the old you and they'll fight to get that back for a while because they'll fight for control. But the bottom line is kids desperately need, crave, and want leadership. Down the line as they get older, if you don't provide that for them, they're more susceptible to bullying, peer pressure, the drug dealer on the corner, the internet, the Kardashians. They're going to look for leadership somewhere else if you don't provide it. When you're a really good leader at home, they don't do any of that. They won't get bullied, no peer pressure, nothing. They're going to know who they are because they've got a really good leader at home. It's just the way it is, right through the teen years. Through the teen years, it's more about a safe place to land. It would be humiliating for them because they have such a respectful leader as a parent. It would be humiliating for them to do something really awful as a teenager. They would hate to face you because they look up to you. They respect you. And it's mutual. You respect them too, the Kardashians. I'm not saying they're bad, but you get where I'm going with that. All your advice has truly changed my parenting for the better. Courtney West. I know that name. I'm less stressed and the kids are 1,000, 10,000, 100,000 times better. Excellent. That's why I'm here. That's why I do. This is all my free content. All this, I don't get paid on TikTok. Well, no, that's not true. I've been on here for a year and a half and I've got $200 in gifts. Like, it doesn't pay like YouTube does. And I'm very thankful for anyone who does, offer me gifts and all that. It's lovely, but this is all free. Like, I love doing this. And that's why I do it, is because I know this is helping. Not most people aren't going to hire me. So, and I know that. That's why I do this. Oh, okay. I've been on for over an hour now. I got to get going. Anyway, YouTube, no one's asked a question. I've only got one person on there. I'm not on YouTube really. I just film these on YouTube, so that's where they stay. Anyway, I got to get going. If you go on my link above, you can hire me for coaching, buy one of my courses, or download my free behavior board. That starts at the age of 3, and you're on there too. That's what makes it work. I don't have a real name for my parenting style. I keep calling it calm leadership, but I also call it like crazy parenting, because you should be able to just relax and have fun with your kids. And the discipline is such a tiny part of this. Once you've got that mutual respect, the discipline is like, this is how I discipline my kids. Really? Like, that's all I would say. Just that the mom's look was all it took, really. That's all you want. That you don't want to have to be disciplining them all the time. It's just to set you up where you want to go. All this stuff is just to get you respect. Once you're a leader, you can just relax and enjoy. Okay? So it's not hard forever, but it is hard initially. It's hard work getting respect. It's easy to maintain it. So I'll be back again tomorrow, and thanks very much. Check out the link. That's all. Everything I've got to offer is on there. Free stuff, paid stuff, whatever. Bye now.